Hey everyone, I'm back, and this time I'm talking about Theater of Pain. Pretty straightforward stuff. I expect most people to know some of the basic stuff here, so just kind of the more specific, interesting things. The thing in this fight that you'll probably know is that Death of the Decapitator enrages at 40% health and fixates. You can trank shot, soothe, de-enrage, whatever you have, and it will stop that fixate and remove the absorb shield. So here it comes up at 40%. Boom. The hunter's going to trank shot it. Here goes the trank shot. Boom. And now fixate goes away. Pretty straightforward. Now, the thing you might not know is that Death of the Decapitator also has a move called Slam. And the way Slam works is it targets the highest health, it targets the person with the highest threat. However, if that person is not in melee range, she still wants to slam. She gonna slam someone else. So let's see what happens in this fight. As Slam's coming up, and I make the decision to chase that person down. You'll see there's a priest right there next to me, passing that priest. Gonna drag the boss over the priest. The boss still wants to slam with pretty predictable results. So, very simple thing that tanks might not know is that if you're not next to the boss when it slams, it will kill someone that's closer. So it kills this priest from full health to dead. So definitely something to remember is to not do that to your poor healers. Anyway. All right, so as you keep going, you'll find yourself in the arena wing, or the PvP wing as people call it. And the key feature here is that you have these mini bosses, and some of them are dueling one another in this little RP battle. When you approach them, one of them dies and the other one's victorious. You can actually decide which one wins. So in this instance, Wreck the Hardened is fighting against Advent Nevermore, right? In this back area you can see. You can choose to have Wreck win this battle and Advent Nevermore to die if you wait until his shield here, this barrier he puts up, drops. So as soon as his barrier drops, I'm going to roll in there. I'm going to trigger the RP to end, and Wreck will kill him. So by doing this, you can choose which one of these mini bosses you fight. And I don't know the timings for the others or what the animation needs to look like, but for this one, it's important. You can always get Wreck because Advent Nevermore does a ton of damage, especially in a high fortified key. So this is the 20 theater, and Advent Nevermore does 10,000 party DPS or something with his stomps. So it's a good trick, something you might not know. Anyway, pretty cool thing. Now, another thing that's interesting, also in this wing, and something that will happen sometimes depending on which one you're fighting. So in this instance is the different run. I'm fighting Nevermore. It's on a 15, so it doesn't matter. Ricocheting Blade, you can actually LOS that. So you see Ricocheting Blade goes on the Hunter. The Hunter moves behind this corner and LOSs it, and you'll notice the Hunter doesn't take any damage. So that's a neat trick that ranged can do, either on Advent Nevermore or one of the previous two mini bosses. Whichever one does the Ricocheting Blade, you can LOS that consistently behind the corner next to the stairs. I don't know if all the corners work, but it's definitely something to play around with. You see the mage tried to do it there. It's just a little slower. But it's a good trick, especially on those higher fortified keys, to mitigate kind of unnecessary party damage. Now, later on, eventually you will find yourself fighting Gorechop, who's, the fourth boss or the second boss, depending on how you approach the dungeon, or maybe the third boss. And the cool thing here is that he spawns these oozing leftovers. Now, in the heat of combat, it's hard to necessarily know what these things do, but basically they have this debuff here, where they deal damage to themselves over time, and they also radiate damage over time. And then when they die, of course, they leave that puddle. It doesn't break crowd control, weirdly enough. So in this instance, you can see this guy's spawning, and I incapacitate him, and he'll just die. So he's incapacitated, no one's targeting him, he just kind of rots away. So if you have a monk or a hunter that's throwing their frost trap, or you could even have a rogue blind or something, any of those standard crowd control things, very similar to the stuff, even Entangling Roots, that you would use on the second boss in Mists of Tyr and Scythe, you can use on this fight to also kind of invalidate one of the ads every time ads spawn. So just another cool thing to know. All right, so my last tip really only applies to tanks and only if you're a Prot Warrior, so like the other Prot Warrior that exists out there. You can spell reflect this Reaping Scythe. So every time she casts this, which is about like twice a minute or something, you can spell reflect it. So like you'll get every other one, and it actually does a ton of damage. So it did like whatever 32,000 damage there, and this is just on a 15. So if you start doing like bigger keys and you got a Prot Warrior, they should definitely be spell reflecting that. Doesn't really justify bringing them for the other 30 minutes of this key, but man, it looks cool at the end. Anyway, those are all my tips for Theater of Pain. Have fun, guys. Bye.